All right, welcome back. Here we go. We are the Amish Matchmakers, Carlos and Chantel here. And this is our couples edition of Love Talk and how the three C's of love, three C's of intimacy affects relationship. So I always love getting the woman's perspective. So thanks for joining us. Oh, says the men's edition. It's not the men's edition. Men would be wise to plug into this, but we're still figuring this out, aren't we? All right, that's fine. And we're actually going to. Oh man, trying to figure this out.
Probably okay.
Yeah, probably okay, huh? We're going to show on this live screen here the chats and the comments so we can see them and you can see them and we can go over them together as we go through. We'd love feedback and love the interaction with you. That's why we do this live, so we can have the interactions together. You get to see it raw, unscripted, but we do have some questions, of course. So let's talk a little bit about communication. Last video Chantel and I did together was on confidence. So now let's talk about communication. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
So what would you say? What does good communication look like?
Communication. It means talking. Um, it means sharing your thoughts and your feelings and, you know, communicating.
Yeah.
I mean, communication, gosh, there's so many different ways, right?
What's the best way to communicate with a woman? Like what from your perspective and what your understanding? I often we've been doing this quite a while with people, so we've helped thousands of singles and couples over the years to have better marriages, have to find love, keep love and make it epic, and then helping them with their legacy. So communication ties into finding love, communication ties into keeping it. If you want to keep your love and your marriage, got to communicate. And then, of course, making it epic requires great communication, not just any communication. So, what's the best kind of communication for a woman to do with a woman? Let's start with a single man. A single man that's listening out there and he's like trying to get the girl. What's the best kind of communication to get the girl from a woman's perspective? What was it that was attractive to you for me and other men that you dated? And
Well, I think, obviously pursuit, but also communication that communicates confidence. Like we talked about confidence last week, but it's also kind of the way that a man communicates with confidence. And I think that was definitely one of the most attractive things. Like even though you were going through what you were going through at the time, like the confidence that you had, that like, oh, so you're saying I got a chance, right? Like was kind of like because I felt pursued by you, and it felt good, right?
so I think it is a great point to kind of use our story as an example since we're starting talking about that. That's good because it is powerful. If you really think about it, like, because most of the men out there that are seeking a woman and trying to find a woman, they will hear something different from a woman. Like they won't hear that, right? Because they won't hear it with an ear of confidence.
Right.
What they will hear. So, like, for instance, in our scenario, um, I was going through a divorce, just to give a little background, be real about the story. And so you knew you didn't want to be the rebound, the other woman. And so you were telling me, like, essentially back off, I'm not interested. That's what some men would hear. It's like, and that's why that's funny that she said that. You're saying I got a chance. So why don't you just share a little bit about what you were actually trying to say? We were on a walk, and you were like, "Hey, how did you communicate with me?" And even allowing you to communicate that, what did that do for you?
Well, I think, first of all, again, feeling the pursuit, I knew that, I had to communicate something because I didn't want to lead him on, or you know what I mean? So yeah, we were walking by the beach, and I just said, "Hey, like, I know you've got a lot going on, and like, I'm just not the same place. I feel your pursuit, and like, that's just not where I'm at." And it was like I just had to get it off my chest. So it was the space. And you actually, I think about it, you totally validated it. You were like, yeah, I get it. I just really want to get to know you and have fun hanging out with you. And that was safe for me to realize that, like, it is it okay for us to just be friends? Is it okay that we can still enjoy each other's company, and that I have communicated that, what I don't want. But then it was almost as if, because was able to communicate and be validated, things just were able to flow and fall in line.
It's good. So again, what I didn't hear was that, "Hey, I don't want to be with you. Get lost, you loser." I mean,
You don't
seriously,
have a chance.
yeah, that I don't have a chance at all. However, she definitely made it clear that she didn't want this relationship right now, that she was just looking for friendship. She didn't want to necessarily, and I was in that time, during that time, I definitely was attracted to her 100%. She's gorgeous and very attractive, beautiful body, beautiful face. I was like, yes, I'd love to be with this woman. However, I get it. I truly wanted to give her the space to just get to know each other. I was intrigued by her. This is a woman that was working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, because she's a mama too. But 2 jobs where she was getting financial gain, and a third job of being a mama. So I had a ton of respect for her, the way she was hustling and putting in the hours, and like, and loved her children, was committed to her children. Like, I was like, wow, this is cool. This is new. Um, and so yeah, I was willing to continue to build a relationship just off of getting to know her,
Mhm.
and getting to know the woman behind this incredible, hardworking, like, yeah, just, she was super confident. She was super courageous. Like, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. So I remember that, and that's what's important, I think, for the men to hear. Maybe you should even share that a little bit more, because I don't know that they understand that. I think men hear a woman say, "Well, hey, I just want to be friends," and all of a sudden they snowball into the friend zone, and I'm a loser. See that people always want me just as a friend. Da, 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 da. Like, I didn't hear that though.
Mhm. Well, for me, it was kind of like I was at a place where, funny enough, like, I had done a lot of work on myself, and I was really at a place that I was ready and wanted a healthy relationship. Um and I didn't know I guess it kind of goes back to, like, that whole thing, like, unequally yoked, because he's going through his stuff. We're not at the same place. Like, I had done a lot of work in that last year, prior to us, even hanging out. And so, um but again, creating the space and the validation, I think the communication of the validation really allowed the space for just friendship and for that growth, because you became a safe place in that time, because, if here's the deal, if he would have been offended, or if he would have, cowered down to, and like shrunk back, yeah, bye.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
I wouldn't have pursued even a friendship in that, because it wouldn't have been attracted to me.
So it ties
You know what I
back
mean?
into confidence again.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been attractive to me if you would have been like, oh,
Oh.
for me, you know, and that is communicated
yeah.
through energy. It's even if you didn't say a word,
Yeah.
if you would have had that persona, I'd have been like, okay, bye, good luck with your life. You know what I mean? And so I think that's where people miss the opportunity of connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good. And so men shrinking back is felt, it's an energy. How do men overcome that though? Like in that moment, how do they not hear that you're rejecting me? Because right, we've dealt with this with so many men and so many relationships that what they hear is rejection. They get triggered, right? We have our process that we go through, Triggers to Triumph, where we help people to create a new story. But in that moment, how does a man regroup? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I always say this, you know, like
The friend zone.
it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? Like sometimes we get caught up in this, like we're all in or there's nothing at all. But sometimes when we're dealing with humans, we have our own processes, we have our shit, we have our triggers, we have our experiences. And so if we're not willing to again creating space for somebody's process, then you're essentially, I mean, that's kind of a setup for a poor relationship to begin with. But you know what I mean? Like, because we all have our processes. And so there, you know, there is a point where, you know, yeah, you got to shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean? Like make a decision. But when you're first to, you know, it's the communication of really getting to know somebody, right? And you can do that from a friendly place. You can do that in creating safety in that conversation, in the communication. You can show someone you're interested with that pursuit of really genuinely getting to know them versus like feeling something right off the bat, or you know what I mean? I think we get so caught up in like society thinks that like, oh, there has to be this amazing chemistry right away,
Yeah.
which ultimately you know what I discovered is from a very lustful place. And really what builds deep meaningful relationships is the friendship, is the communication that says I really genuinely want to get to know this person. Like, you know, yeah, we can have fun hanging out and we make each other laugh, but what is beyond the surface
So
here?
true. And I realize something right now too. It's also because what happens is, and we teach this, we work with clients and couples and singles in this way. It's like for men, it's the art of pursuit.
Mhm,
For women, it's are you willing to be pursued?
mhm,
What was interesting was in that moment, you were still, even in that season, you were still trying to figure out if you were willing to be pursued. I remember that because you had just gotten through a hard relationship. We don't know, man, what the women are going through, the hard things they've been through, or the past relationships they've had that could be being projected on us. And again, that was even part of it. You dealt with men that were emotionally unavailable, and I guess in that moment, if I'm going through a divorce, there's potential for that because I have relationship issues, like all these things that could, on the surface, that's what's interesting, man. On the surface, could look like, yeah, you're not a good choice.
right.
And on the surface, she could be, because she's now telling me these things, right? Her words are saying, look, back off, essentially, it's like, I'm not looking for a relationship right now. I'm not available right now. But that's the art of pursuit.
Mhm,
If you want it, you got to keep going after it. You got to be willing to put in the time. You got to be willing to what? Go deeper, build relationships, learn how to communicate effectively. And in my mind, I'm like, so I got a chance here because at least she wants to keep a friendship. You men, potentially, that are single, hear that I'm a reject, I'm a victim. And women, if you're on here, make some comments. Tell us what your thoughts are, because it is powerful to have you be able to communicate and be able to give your expression, express your opinions. Or men, have you experienced this when, as single men, feeling like a reject whenever a woman says to you, hey, I just want to be friends? Like, I don't even know that I ever heard that in my life. plenty of women said that. Again, now going back to my teenage years before I was married, and then yeah, in between being divorced and in between marriages, like
there's something here too, though. Like, people have such a negative perception of the friend zone.
Right.
And I think it's one of those traps that we can get caught in, and like, oh no, we friend zoned again. And so we identify with just the friend zone, but we don't understand the value of the friend zone.
That's right.
If you flipped your script and saw the friend zone as opportunity for deep, meaningful relationship,
true intimacy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You would understand how freaking golden that is. And I think that's where a lot of, especially in this day and age with all the freaking dating stuff, all the microwave mentality, I think it's missed completely, because the friend zone is a safe place. And that is where a woman can really open up and connect. I mean, honestly, like, sorry, that's interesting.
No, that's good. That's really good. Because we always say that the best friends make best spouses. Like seriously, being a best friend with the woman first is super powerful. Is something that again can develop into something epic. Really, it can, because that's the process that we continue to do. Even now, 15 years later, here we are exploring friendship and exploring relationship and constantly challenging each other to get better in relationship, in communication, in the way we talk to each other, in the way that we ask questions, in the way that we inspire and motivate each other, make space for each other. Like it's an ongoing process. So no better way to start it than in the friend zone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
What? Talk.
No, I'm just,
This is good.
it's just like, I just keep think back to, how valuable that is. Right.
Because see, we have to reverse engineer all the time.
Right.
What we did and then what helps others. And that's why even we have Jesse and Adina Kaufman who have single to married group on school. And that's why they created that. They've utilized our content, our courses to and all in our processes of triggers to triumph, which we have 3 core activities: triggers to triumph, MVP, and epic 30. 3 core activities for life: connection to father, connection to each other, build confidence, become epic communicators, and be committed for the long haul, for the 1,000-year reign. The big picture. And so again, what does that look like? It starts here. If we can't master this relationship, but it actually starts there with the father and knowing him as father. And we know that our planet unfortunately the world has daddy issues. So then if we can fix that first, connection to the father, then we can connect better here. But what I'm going back to now is that's why then we did create Single to Married, because in that group, literally, we help people to become better friends. That's our 7-step process there. We have a strategy for getting engaged is building a friendship. Every client that we've worked with that has had great results is they were friends first. This whole misconception of, well, let's have sex and see if we're compatible. That is, again, not a beneficial way. It's a trap. And it's leading everything. Then it's based on physical, and wow, we could go down a rabbit trail there.
Well, and it breeds confusion. So anytime we have, we create behaviors that breed confusion, then our identity is constantly being challenged. So if we understand, I think that's where the friendship place is a really healthy place for, 2 people who are, potentially merging lives safely, right?
Okay.
And having the freedom within that friendship to be who you are, to really, develop that true identity, and being able to express themselves where there's not, like, all this bullshit, this hidden agendas, this, I don't know. I just feel like, it's let's bring it back to like basics.
Well, and one thing we've realized too that's true is like our relationship between you and I is like the testing ground for relationship with others. And it's so funny that people don't have good relationship with others and they wonder why. And I'm telling you, it's in our experience, what we've seen with ourselves is because we haven't even mastered the relationship in our home with our spouse, with our children. And so again, that's the very first, it says, love your neighbor as yourself. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. Like that is like a huge command of love. And yet the first neighbor is definitely our spouse and our children. And we've seen that, like how important it is to master the relationship here. And then it will affect and influence relations out there in the world. And so it's amazing because this is the testing ground. This is the place where we get to practice and do well. So then confidence plays a key part where we got together,
Mhm.
and then communication. And we said that even communicating what that looks like for a single guy. Now, even let's go here about marriage. So we told some of the single guys some key elements for communication. Uh, don't be afraid of the friend zone. Okay, that's the one nugget I want single guys to take away.
Mhm.
That's a beautiful place to build and develop intimacy. Thank God when they say, "Hey, I just want to be friends." Say, "Yes, let's go to coffee tomorrow then." Right? Seriously. I mean, that's what happened with me and working with Chantel on this because it was like, okay, let's go to the swap meet. It was like after that, it's like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? It's like on a weekend. And she's like, well, I'm going to swap meet. You need someone to push the stroller, right? Because Hazel at the time, that's 18 months. And it was like, yeah, sure. So we're still hanging out as friends. Now I get to know her 18-month-old daughter and her son that's 10 at the time. And it's like, why not? Why not get to know them and just connect and build relationship with the kids too? That's her priority during that time. And so again, being committed to what she's committed to. Woo! Confidence, communication, commitment.
Mhm.
All right. So, but we're talking about communication. Now let's transition then. We only got a little bit more time here. We'll take a few more minutes. We'll take questions too. If you guys have questions, seriously, we love seeing the comments. And the interaction really helps because then this message gets out to more people. And that's what I want to say. Would you be willing to like and subscribe to our channel if you're on YouTube? If you're on Facebook, comment, like, repost. It matters. When you do those things, and Facebook shows it to more people, YouTube shows it to more people, and we will bring our 15 years experience of working with thousands and thousands of people in relationship skills. If you're willing to post and like and subscribe and make comments, we're going to bring our best. All right. We're not going to hold anything back. We're not going to try to keep some trade secret. We want to give it all to you, and we're here to bless you with that. So do that for us, and we'll keep creating some good content here. So now communication as it involves, we talked to the single guy. Now let's talk to the married man. Let's talk to the husband. What does confident communication, how does that affect the marriage? What are the benefits there? And what does that even do to a man and a woman's sex life? Because this is probably one of the things that is missing in the church is they're not talking about sex. They're not talking about a man's and a woman's, a husband and wife's love life. Like about singles, we truly believe, you and I believe in marriage and that's where you have intimacy and become one flesh. Because it's one of those things like, I truly believe that God has called us to have great, intimate connection with everyone on the planet, male and female. That's my heart. That's what I see in the word. There's only one person, though, that you actually become physically one flesh, intercourse, sex, that God called us to have become one flesh and have intercourse and have a deep intimacy through that connection. Only one person. So that's a deeper, then we get into synchronicity, become one and work together as one, a threefold cord working with the Father, and it's super powerful. Why do I bring that up? Because now men are having very much sex in marriage. The average person's maybe having it, I think, twice a month. The average married couples. Depends on how long they've been married. Like the reality is we believe in having sex a lot. that it's highly beneficial for your marriage. And so, men, if you're not getting some in your marriage, then we need to work on that. And it could be tied to your communication. And this has been a big revelation for us in our relationship and what we've learned over the years. First of all, Chantel was very patient with me because there were some hangups and some issues when it came to intimacy. And you worked with me, like you helped me to gain confidence there because I lacked confidence when it came to that. I was all about performance and it was all about like, okay, I've got to do this the right way, the perfect way in order for it to be accepted. It was all connected to even rejection. So you were very sensitive. So I want to start with that because that was in the beginning of our marriage. Like this was a big deal. Like you were dealing with, and yes.
Again, we're human.
Yep.
We're human people bringing our experiences into a relationship. And so I think that's, where we need to, have an awareness and be willing to, you know, but again, it has to be, you have to be willing to do the communication.
That's right. It's good.
Even, when we first kissed, the way he kissed was
That's right.
not attractive to me. And I was like,
Good.
okay, so I need to communicate this. And I think that's, again, the how is important because I'm not, criticizing. I'm just simply willing to explain to him what I like, right? And he's willing to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, in all of it, right? Having that freedom and safety because, we've built a friendship, we understand each other's heart. We don't have to feel offended by the communication. You know what I mean? And but those are all nuances that come from friendship.
So good.
Those are nuances that come from, really knowing each other. You know what I mean? And so being able to get to that place and then in the sexual aspect, same thing, right?
Safe place.
Safe place when we see that somebody is bringing something that is, maybe painful or insecure or whatever to the table, then it's the communication
Sure.
that allows us to move through it, to create that safety, to, shift the way that we do things. I mean, I brought my own stuff to the table and he helped me work through it. It's the same thing. We both work together, but we can't do that if we're not communicating. We cannot work through the stuff if we're retreating and holding back, shrinking back. If we're just, oh, keep the lights off and I'm not willing to do this and this because I'm triggered, right? Triggers are opportunities for us to move through something, to operate from a place of healing, where those things, those experiences that we all have as human beings aren't controlling us, right? The last thing I need is for whatever sexual trauma that I have or you know what I mean, have had in the past to bring that into my marriage and let it prevent he and I from connecting on that level that could be so beautiful.
Yes.
Right? That can be from a place of, true intimacy and exploration and fun.
That's right.
Right? We can create a new story, but I can't create a new story if I'm not willing to communicate that this sucked for me.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we all have it. On some level, we have experiences that need to be communicated so that and again, going back to the friend zone of, having that friendship and being safe enough to be able to work through it.
So good. So good. So then when you communicate what it is that you are challenged by, you communicate what you like and don't like when it comes to intimacy. You communicate and even be willing to try something maybe that you didn't feel comfortable with, but your spouse does, and you want to try it. Again, it's a beautiful thing in the sense of now, I want to make a statement very clear here. Disclaimer: we do not agree with porn in the marriage because that we truly believe that's bringing someone else into the marriage.
Mhm.
So we believe it's monogamous between a husband and wife, one husband, and one person that you become one flesh with. So again, I just want to make that clear because I don't want people to hear something I'm not saying at all. But what I'm saying is that that's the adventure, that's the fun of exploration and connection on a deep level, is willingness to even have fun and know that it can be an adventure, that God created pleasure for a purpose, for the benefits in our marriage and in our lives.
Yeah.
And yeah, he didn't want us to just have some boring, mundane, like, as they call it, missionary style, you know. It can work out well for that too, but I'm just saying, like, God wanted us to have adventure and have fun. Comment, let us know your thoughts on this, because this is a big topic. Unfortunately, it's not being talked about enough. And we do believe in communicating about this and the freedom to be safe. Like, we would not have, we've done challenges too with couples to help them and inspire them to connect on a deeper level and have intimacy more often. So communication matters.
Mm-hmm.
And communication also, let's just even talk about the communication of what you want as a man. When a man communicates with a woman about their desires, and a woman communicates with a man her desires, does that type of communication matter? Does it being confident matter?
Well, I think, yeah, I see this your question over here. What does it mean when a man communicates with calmness instead of defensiveness? And I think, that's a good question to bring in to this conversation, because all of this communication, right? I think sex can be such a touchy subject, right? Especially with the whole porn industry and how many men are addicted to porn, and we as women can like fall into this place of like insecurity, right? I think that's probably the greatest challenge for women whose husbands have dealt with porn, is because
Yep.
innately there's this, okay, there's words like erotic, all of these different things that create this fantasy, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that men get from porn is there's some kind of fantasy. Well,
Mystery.
if a woman is open enough to create that within the marriage versus feeling offended or defensive, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, like, again, we don't believe in porn and all of these different things, but what I want to communicate is that if we're building our relationship and we're understanding that we each have these desires, we have all of the things within our body created for pleasure and eroticism, that we can, if we're communicating those things together, then that becomes our fantasy, right?
That's right.
Then we become we have the ability to fulfill that for each other. It's a matter of, are we willing to? Are we willing to, you know, maybe get out of our comfort zone for our spouse? Put something on that they like, that we're not necessarily but I'm just saying, like, versus being offended.
Yeah, this is really controversial, and I'm going to say it anyways, because it's so funny, um, about this whole, like, the feelings that men have, and they're turned on, essentially. And it's interesting when I take a look at the practical side of things, when I see Mary Magdalene and what she did with the oil and her hair, putting it all over Jesus's legs. Like, I don't know, if he was all man, like, that was very erotic. And some of you are going to be like, what does that have to do with anything? I'm just saying, like, Jesus didn't stop her and said, whoa, whoa, she needs to stop. That's inappropriate. The disciples tried to stop her. They made it about money, though. Oh, well, she's wasting money. And he said, really? Wasting money? She's doing this for me and honoring me in this way. Like, again, but I just wanted to bring out the practical side of things. Some of you are going to be like, well, that's inappropriate. That's not holy. Jesus was holy. I get it, but it does say he was all man too, as well. And what I'm saying is we see here an example that even Yeshua, Jesus himself, didn't stop a woman from putting her hair all over his legs with oil. Why don't you try that tonight with your wife? Seriously, that's your assignment. And see what kind of effect that has for you if you feel honored and blessed through that. First of all, would a wife be willing to do that? Second of all, would a man allow it? And again, not in public, in private. And that's what's even more interesting. That was in public. And some of you have a hard time holding hands. Yeah. Some of you have a hard time even smiling and talking to a woman to start a conversation, or allowing yourself to kiss or put your arm around your wife in public. Come on, man. Let's go. Like, that's what I have to say. Like, I don't know about you, but if some woman with long hair and I was sitting there and she started putting it all over my feet and my legs, that would be very interesting and a turn on.
Yeah, you'd be turned on.
And it would be very interesting to do that even in public. So I'm just saying, just challenging you a little bit to think outside the box instead of always getting stuck in your mindsets of things being so square and so what you call proper. I mean, again, we are 100% for marriage. We're 100% for monogamy. Okay. So the reality is, though, is like what I'm saying is even the challenge of like, I just want to ask even religious leaders that might watch this, or pastors, or whatever, bishops, I don't know, elders of a church. I would like to ask you a question. Please answer this for me. What would be wrong if Jesus was married? What would be wrong with that if Jesus was married? Would that be a problem? I'm just curious about that. I've thought about that and I've wondered about that. Like, and I think for some reason then that when they think, well, Jesus was single, that justifies then, oh, well, as a man or a woman, I can be single. No, that's not what God said. He said, go forth and populate. It's kind of hard to do that as a single person. Now, the mission was different for Yeshua. I do agree with that. He was here to be the Messiah, the Savior. I agree with that. So his mission was different. God gave us all, humans, a mission. Go forth and populate. So he was definitely wanting us to be married, having children. So, anyways, squirrel. But again, I'm trying to challenge the thought process of people in marriage, and the ability and the willingness to have fun in your marriage. Maybe even get a little bit wild within your marriage bed privately and enjoy each other. Make it an adventure. We have some fun, like goodness, and we laugh about it a lot, about some of the wild and crazy things that we are willing to do together and have fun. Just, yeah, adventurous. We are. So it does make for an awesome, incredible, spicy marriage, and keeps us, even I just turned 49. Even at 49, I don't have to take testosterone. I don't need any help with, playing pool. I'm not playing pool with a rope, if you know what I mean. Like it's real. And I have lots of friends that are younger than me and that are literally having to take, different things for testosterone, different things for
About that, like, what is that doesn't just happen overnight, guys.
Yeah.
That happens because there's the slow decline of communication and confidence. Okay.
It's true.
So I want to really hone in on that. There are times when Carlos would be, passing in the hallway, babe, I just need some confidence sex. Like, it's real, right? So, we have the opportunity together to
That's right.
increase our confidence, to understand that life throws curveballs. We all get hit with our confidence. Whether it's business, whether it's our relationships, whether it doesn't matter. Like,
Yep.
we're human beings with, all of these interactions, and our confidence gets challenged. But where do we have a safe place to get a boost? Do we have a place where we can, and again, going back to, the how of communication,
Yep.
right? The how, and understanding. I keep seeing this defensiveness. Defensiveness reveals your insecurities. Okay. When we are communicating in a calm, assertive way,
Yep.
then, we have a better opportunity to ask for what we need. We have a better opportunity to communicate what is happening inside of us, right? But when we are operating from a place of defensive, our confidence is hit, so then we're going to lash out, those kind of things. It's a downward spiral, and it's not attractive. And that's, for women, that's a real quick way to get us to like avoid that conversation. You know what I mean? Because that's not fun. Okay. When everything gets flipped and turned into like, this is the problem, then we're like, okay, it's not really the problem, but you're just lashing out here. You're taking it out because you're insecure about something. You know what I mean? So be aware. And again, having that safe place to communicate before it gets to that point, before we get to the point of, our the reactive point, right? So, I just want to communicate that like proactive, proactive communication is highly beneficial. Proactive communication. We often talk about things like on our date night, are you guys doing a date night?
Yeah,
a date
exactly.
Night, we're
opportunities for communication.
Yeah, we're having conversations. And if there's something that, one of us have been thinking about or something, like that's a really good place to have a calm communication, right? A conversation where we can explore different things, whether, it has to do with, you know, how we're parenting, whether it has to do with business, whether it has to do with sex, it doesn't matter. But it's not a reactive zone, right? It's a calm zone. It's a proactive zone. It's a safe place where we're being friends, right? We're being connected. We're prioritizing each other and those kind of conversations. So those kind of places are really good for any kind of communication. And so, if you can understand, like, maybe something comes up, you get triggered during the week, and you're like, you want to have this kind of conversation, but you're definitely not in a place where you can communicate it calmly. Make a note of it and go back to it on your date night and say, hey, I really wanted to talk to you about this. You know what I mean? That way you're operating from a place of healthy communication, not reactivity, not in the middle of my trigger. Handle your trigger with your God, right? With Father. Release it and then be able to communicate. That doesn't mean we sweep things under the rug. It doesn't mean that we don't handle things. It just means that we operate from a place of healthy communication and saying, okay, this is something I was thinking about.
And always to asking questions for clarity
Mhm.
is the key. Because we may feel something or emotions, and then if we can table it for date night, and then here's the key to it, is not to say, you did this, this, and this, and be like all defensive, and you treated me this way, and da, da, da. No, it's asking questions for clarity and being willing to say, hey, I own these feelings. I felt this when you did this, so I want to clarify. What did you mean by that?
Right.
What were you truly trying to express? What were you wanting to convey through that? And so, yeah, communication is a big deal.
Yeah.
To have a successful love, to keep love and make it epic. And yeah, so I love talk. If you are liking this and want more of it, messages, comment now. We're grateful for feedback. This is live. This is real. This is real time. We are seeing comments. By the way, hey, missed you too, Layla. Good to see that. See the comments, and then rural pastor saying, hey again, what up? Welcome back again. So
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and just know that we love you, and we're grateful that you do support us in your comments. You do support us by liking and posting and reposting, and hopefully this is beneficial. Prove it. If it's beneficial, make comments. If it's beneficial, repost it, and that will show us that you want us to keep creating this content. You want us to continue to communicate and continue to bring you some information. All right. And if you have topics you want us to discuss, let us know. We'd love that, because then we're bringing things that are more custom and purposeful for what you're going through and what you're dealing with. I love seeing lives change and transform. So, hey, Sheila, thanks for commenting. Love you. Bless you. It's awesome.
Yes.
All right. Any closing thoughts?
No. Communicate.
That's right.
Yeah. Be willing. Even the hard. I think that's, one of the biggest things for the couples we work with is, you know, to just we can't be afraid to be raw and real.
It's good.
And we need to understand that that vulnerability is what creates intimacy. Um, even when it's not comfortable.
Yes.
So, you know, I think some of the biggest breakthroughs that we've had is when I've made the decision to just be raw and vulnerable. And it also, what that communicates to him is that he can handle it.
Yeah.
Right. And vice versa. So, you know, a lot of times we hold back or we don't communicate things because of the fear that they can't handle it. And that's being communicated in our silence. That's being communicated when we're not sharing. So the more we share, the more raw and real we are, I think the more trust is built and the more confidence is built within that relationship. So, you know, recognizing that that is probably where one of the biggest decline has happened in marriages is that people start holding back and protecting each other. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because then we just all become weak sauce and then we, you know, dig ourselves such a deep hole that we can't get out of it. So I want to encourage you, be raw, real, and communicate.
It's good. Thanks for being here with me, babe. Love you.
Mhm.
Love Talk with the Amish Matchmakers. We're here to help you find love, keep it, make it epic, create a legacy together.